came an Irishman one day. As the streets are paved with gold, sure everyone was gay, singing songs of Piccadilly, Strand and Leicester Square, till Paddy got excited, then he shouted to them there, "It's a long way to Tipperary, it's a long way to go."
Hello everyone, welcome to another NeoUnrealist. Wow, look at that raucous mob of Tommy Robinson supporters there in front of the Old Bailey, where Tommy Robinson was in court, finding out if Her Majesty's government of the United Kingdom was going to send him back to prison to serve out the remainder of his 13-month prison sentence for contempt of court. And in case you've forgotten or you just never followed the story originally, Tommy Robinson is the founder and former leader of the English Defence League, an organization that he established to raise awareness about the Islamization of Britain. And some years ago, he left the EDL as he felt he'd lost control of it to neo-Nazi and white supremacist elements, and struck off on his own for the most part to continue his original message, sounding the alarm about radical Islam and the government's completely inadequate response to the growing problems that it was causing for the average working-class British people, regardless of their race or culture of origin. Now, in any event, in recent years, Tommy Robinson's largest issue in regard to his activism has been to call attention to Muslim rape gangs who groom young British girls into abject sexual slavery. And he was reporting on one such trial in front of Leeds Crown Court last year while under a conditional sentence from contempt of court that he received reporting on an earlier grooming gang case. Now suddenly, out of the blue, nearly a dozen police officers swooped in from all directions and scooped Tommy Robinson off the street. They bundled him into a van, and he was dumped into a courtroom, absent his legal representation, subjected to a drumhead trial, and sentenced to a 13-month prison term, and taken right there, on the spot, off to prison. And just as outrageous, a reporting restriction placed on his case, making it illegal for anyone in Britain to report on it all. You know, this is a process that took, in the notoriously slow UK legal system, a record like 4 hours and change to transpire. So think about that. It's like something out of a dystopian novel or the writings of Alexander Solzhenitsyn. He was on the street one minute, off to the gulag the next, and unpersoned. I mean, you had the spectacle of multiple British media, like Sky News, the BBC, newspapers, even YouTubers and Twitter users, having to either remain silent, you can't talk about Tommy Robinson, he doesn't exist, or worse, pull down any stories or material that they'd already put out about Tommy Robinson or face legal consequences themselves. Keep in mind, Tommy Robinson was arrested ostensibly for violating a reporting restriction, and he was sentenced to prison. Many of Britain's leading media outlets and reporters had done the same exact thing when they reported on Tommy Robinson that day. They were in violation of the reporting restriction placed on Tommy's case, yet none of them was arrested, prosecuted, or so much as fined. They were simply told to pull down the articles and videos, and nothing really further happened to them. Tommy, he was given no such warning, and it said, you know, he says that if he was told by one of the police that you know, to stop what he was doing or take down the video, that he simply would have stopped streaming and deleted the video from the account that he controlled. In fact, Tommy asked one of the police there if it was permissible for him to take video in front of the courthouse. Now, needless to say, there were many problems with the way in which Tommy's case was handled that day. And after several months of incarceration, his case finally made its way to the highest court in the UK, their equivalent of the United States Supreme Court, where ultimately he was released from prison and his case ordered to be reheard because of the problems with what the judge in that case did to Tommy that day. Today, September 27, 2018, was the day Tommy's case was to be reheard at the Old Bailey in London. You saw the crowds there. Some people estimate it was about 1,500 people, and nothing much happened. the court did not decide on the substance of the case today. They scheduled another hearing in October to rule on the procedural issues and determine how to go forward with the case. I mean, the wheels of justice grind extremely slowly, so it looks like Tommy Robinson, he's in the same limbo he's been in since he was released. He's a free man, I mean, yeah, for now, but he can't return to the vicinity of Leeds Crown Court. That's the condition on him. And he has to report back to his new hearing date in October, where presumably they'll get into the meat of the actual contempt case. Keep in mind, to this day, Tommy Robinson does not know. He nor his legal representatives have not been told what he said exactly that merits his incarceration on contempt of court for violating a reporting restriction. In his live stream, the only information he gave was to read the names of the defendants in the case and the charges against them. That's public domain information and legally permissible to report in any case, as it was in all the... that information was in the media, including the state media, the BBC. Tommy Robinson filmed the defendants walking into the courthouse, asked questions more or less how they felt about the case, also permissible under reporting restriction. I mean, think about it. In almost every court case you ever see in your life in the news, the staple shot is the media scrum that follows defendants as they walk in and out of court. But even that's neither here nor there. Reporting restrictions, they're violated all the time in the UK. It's a common occurrence, and typically it's just resolved with a fine. You don't see journalists being locked up for violating some aspect of reporting restrictions on cases, even in far more egregious and cut-and-dry cases than Tommy Robinson. This is a clear case of government oppression against someone the British establishment wants silenced. They've tried everything against Tommy Robinson, so it would seem that their latest tactic is to leave him in some Kafkaesque legal limbo, where he's out free in the world, but effectively muzzled, lest he triggers some trap in the UK law or damage his pending case and then jeopardize his future freedom. Once again, that sort of Damocles just hangs over his head. He really can't move on and effectively pursue his activism under these conditions. And that's the point, isn't it? You know, but it's not just stopping with Tommy Robinson, though. I mean, look at recently what this coordinated media smear campaign waged against Sargon of Akkad. What do they have, like 4 or 5 hit pieces against him this week in British media? Now, love or hate Sargon, aka Carl Benjamin, you have to admit, it's rather unseemly that the minute a YouTuber whose audience is approaching somewhat close to 1 million subscribers, tries to transcend what did they call it? The alternative influence network, and reach out to a wider mainstream audience by joining the UK Independence Party, UKIP, suddenly the media establishment simultaneously in the UK wants to make Sargon, real world famous, or rather infamous, for being some kind of neo-Nazi. Now, what's ironic about all this, what they're doing to Sargon and Tommy Robinson, really, they're not liked by the actual alt-right. Richard Spencer, he dislikes Sargon. He tolerates him as someone that, may have some of the same beliefs on certain issues, but whenever someone like Richard Spencer or Millennial Woes, listen to them when they even say the name Sargon, they can barely disguise the contempt in their voices, for people in the liberalist faction that he ostensibly leads. And it's neither here nor there, though. I mean, it's the same with Tommy Robinson. The actual alt-right labels Tommy Robinson controlled opposition and a Zionist. Yes, it's amazing. Tommy Robinson gets blacklisted as some kind of far-right Nazi when you could see widely available images of him visiting Israel, hanging out with the Israeli Defense Forces, standing atop an IDF Merkava Mark IV main battle tank, manned by Jews, defending the Jewish state in the Jewish state. The leader of the Labour Party, you won't find any photos of Jeremy Corbyn standing on any Israeli tanks posing with Jewish soldiers. No. The pictures of him you see, they're of him standing with anti-Semitic terrorists, honoring people who were admired for killing Jews. So Tommy Robinson, he gets to serve prison terms, fight for his freedom in court, He stands with the Jewish people in their homeland, yet he's a Nazi. Jeremy Corbyn plays footsie with the Palestinian Liberation Organization and Hamas, terrorist groups drenched in anti-Semitism and hands stained red with the blood of dead Jews, yet Corbyn gets to run the shadow government and bleat like a lamb in Parliament about his socialist platform. Now, sad to say, but the UK has turned into crazy town. The people vote to leave the EU, to reject globalism. Their own government seems at every turn to try and thwart and delay the expressed will of the people. In a sane country, Tommy Robinson would be celebrated as a hero and courted by every political party to join them and promote their platform. But nope, in the UK of 2018, he has to hold his breath till October to see if he'll still be a free man or not. That's all for this New Unrealist. Like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell to keep up with the new content. Follow the links in the description below to PayPal or Patreon if you want to thumb your nose at YouTube demonetization of dissident voices more directly. And most of all, thanks for watching. Free Tommy.